Chapter 25, Sinking Canoe. The giggling girls from the bus get off at the ball field, too. As Fisher and I step off the bus, one of them says, "You're Fisher Lee, aren't you?" Fisher slaps his baseball hat on his head and says, "Yeah." "Well, weren't you in Mr. Lindham's class last year?" asks a taller girl with long red hair. "Yeah," Fisher says again. The girls seem to be headed to the same place we are, but they aren't dressed like they're planning to play any baseball. So either they're just coming to watch, like me, or they're just following us so they can talk to Fisher. The first girl, who is dressed fancy and wears makeup, says, "Do you know Sebastian? He's my brother." We reach the edge of the field, and a few people are already sitting on the bleachers across the grass. "Yeah, I know him." Fisher doesn't seem to have much to say to these girls, and that's okay with me. It's like they're trying to know him, but I already know him. I feel like a stranger walking with all of them, not saying anything and not being able to talk to Fisher like normal. Fisher looks over at his coach and some other players gathering on the field. He's probably going to join them any minute now, and I'm going to have to figure this out by myself. Fisher says to me, and not to the other girls, "I gotta go." He hands me a hat from his backpack, not his Omaha Storm Chasers hat. He's wearing that one. It's his Dodgers hat. It's one of his favorites, and he keeps it clean and new-looking. "Use this to keep the sun out of your eyes, and I'll see you after we're done." And before I can say thanks, the tall girl with the red hair calls to him, "Hey, Fisher, hit a home run." I look at her sideways, and I put on Fisher's hat, and I turn to walk across the field toward the bleachers without these girls. But I didn't realize the third girl was almost right behind me. I stop quickly, and she dodges out of the way, but we still smack into each other. "Excuse me," I say, a little annoyed. "When I jumped on the bus to come with Fisher, I hadn't planned on this at all." "My fault," says the girl, rubbing her shoulder where we hit. "I was standing too close." "Well, I wasn't looking," I say, trying to match her nice tone. "Sorry." The other two girls have followed Fisher onto the field and are talking with another boy, who seems to know the girl with all the makeup. The odd silence between me and the third girl seems to need something to fill it. I'm not sure why. "Are you watching the practice?" I ask, twisting a loose thread from my shirt around my finger. This is so different from talking to people at the zoo. The wind kicks up a little dust to get my attention. "Talk to me," it nags. "I think so," the girl answers. "Anna's getting some money from her brother for snacks. We might stay a while and then go to her house." "Let's go, Camille," calls the one with the makeup, who is Sebastian's sister, Anna. She waves some money in the air and leads the way toward a small shaved ice shack at the far side of the bleachers. Camille, the girl next to me, waves at Anna and the tall girl, but she doesn't leave to join them, and instead she walks with me to the bleachers. "Did you used to go to Lexington Elementary?" Camille asks. She has a round face with high cheekbones that looks friendly, but I still dread her questions. Nothing good can come from the direction this is going to take. "A long time ago." Immediately I regret answering her. "Well, what's your name?" I'm suddenly reminded of my assignment from Miss Lee, the one where I'm supposed to figure out what I can learn from Karana about myself. This situation right here is my very own version of the first time Karana tries to go after her people. She makes a canoe and sails away from the island all by herself. It's the first time she tries leaving her island, and it doesn't go so well. She nearly sinks and drowns, and she has to turn back. Coming to the ball field was a bad idea. I should have listened to the wind. "Well, I'm Camille," the girl adds, as though telling me her name will make me feel better about telling her mine. We reach the bleachers, and it seems Camille is determined to follow me. I don't want to have this conversation, but I don't know where else to go. The bus probably won't return to the parking lot for a while. Fisher is about to play baseball and can't help. Camille's two friends are at the snack shack and will join her soon, and I can't think of a way out. "I'm Lex," it comes out as a whisper. "I thought I remembered you," Camille says, her eyes widening like marbles. "You're the girl from the zoo." "Not exactly," says the wind, laughing as it always has whenever I've asked it where I came from. "Lexington Willow, right?" asks Camille. I wince. I mean, I'm not ashamed of my name. I like it, but I'm worried about what is going to come next. I think we were in class together. Do you remember? I don't remember, not really, but I nod and say, I think so. Well, where do you go to school now? I start climbing the bleacher steps and Camille joins me. I do my schoolwork at the zoo. I've got a private teacher there. I adjust Fisher's Dodgers hat to shade my eyes from the sun reflecting off the silver metal seats. I didn't know you could do that. Well, I guess you still live there then, huh? The third row has nobody in it, so I pause there, wondering if Camille is planning to sit down. So far, I'd be okay with that. Yeah, I live there, same as Fisher. I figure mentioning Fisher will help it sound a little more normal. She hasn't yet looked at me like she's trying to figure out if I'm a rare breed of monkey. And she hasn't yet called me, "Elephant Girl!" cries a high-pitched voice that ends in a delighted squeal and then a giggle. It isn't Camille who said it. I turn to see Anna and her red-haired friend holding shaved ice with a snowcap of evaporated milk drizzled over the top. I cringe inside, wishing that I hadn't turned immediately in answer to that name. I thought I recognized you, the redhead girl said, giggling. Tay, that isn't nice, said Camille. But she is Elephant Girl, Anna says. I should have known when she got on the bus at the zoo stop. I mean, her hair, it's the same as it was in first grade. She's talking about me like I'm not even there. And suddenly I remember Tay. So they recognize my curly hair, huh? Well, I recognize Tay's red hair and how she used to laugh at me like she's doing now. You are the girl they found sleeping in the dirt with the elephant, aren't you? Tay asks. You used to talk to the wind at recess. They're all giving me that look like I'm an exhibit at the zoo. All of a sudden, I'm Karana from my book, and all the water is coming inside my canoe. I'm going to sink if I turn back to my island. I push past Camille and the other girls and start down the stairs. Run, says the wind. Lex, wait, a voice calls after me, and I think it's Camille, but I don't turn around. My tennis shoes hit the gravel with a crunch at the bottom of the last step, and I run from the bleachers and the ball field, and the slap of my feet against the earth has the familiar rhythm of a chant I wish I could forget. Elephant girl with the crazy hair, smells like the zoo and talks to the air. Elephant girl, elephant girl. I remember the words the way the kids used to chant them outside of the school, and I keep running all the way to the bus stop. Chapter 26, Leaf in the Wind. I feel like a lone leaf blown from a tree. I don't know how to find my way back to the zoo, but I know that Fisher takes the bus home from the ball field every day, so I wait at the stop until a bus comes. You should listen to me, says the wind. It's all your fault, I say. It's your fault they call me that name. A bus pulls up to the stop. It has an electronic sign on the front that shows the number 5 and the words East River Road. I climb the steps with my exact change, at least I know this much. Will this bus take me to the Lexington Zoo? I ask the driver. It's a different driver in a different bus, but she nods, and so I drop my $1.25 in exact change into the fare box. I'm riding the bus back to the zoo without Fisher. I left him at the ball field after I told him I'd watch him play. I'm not sure if that makes me a liar or just a really bad friend. Fisher got into a fist fight once with some of the boys who made fun of me. It was after school, outside Lexington Elementary. He punched one of them in the stomach, a very big kid who looked too old to be at the playground. The kids threw mud clods at us. A mud ball hit me on the side of my head and stuck in my hair, and the kid put a long sock in front of his nose like an elephant trunk. Then he trumpeted the Elephant Girl chant until everyone had memorized it. Fisher got hauled to the principal's office for fighting on school grounds, and it didn't matter that the big kid and his friends didn't go to our school. Fisher still got in trouble, and all the other kids learned the chant anyway. Fisher knows I quit going to school because kids were making fun of me, but he doesn't know the other reason. I also quit going because I don't want him to keep getting in trouble for me. Turns out, he still gets in trouble for me, or because of me. Now he's playing baseball at the field, and I'm not there. And I'm still wearing his Dodgers hat. The bus creeps its way up the hill toward the zoo, and as it drives past the long stretch of undeveloped land, I press my forehead against the window, trying to see through the trees. It's impossible to make out anything but a blur of browns and greens with occasional bursts of wildflower clusters, and I wonder if Miss Amanda notices the change in scenery around her trailer home. Does she notice changes in the weather and seasons, even if ghosts don't get wet in the rain? The bus takes a turn away from the zoo. I'm nervous I've gone the wrong way, and I'm about to ask the driver when she pulls the bus into a turnaround spot on River Road. More people get on and off, and I pull Fisher's hat down lower and keep looking out the window. Eventually, the bus stops at the bottom of the zoo parking lot, and I'm out of my seat and down the steps as the wind blew me out the door. As if the wind blew me out the door. Back safe and sound, says the wind. But it doesn't feel safe and sound. It feels like the wind wants to keep me here more than I didn't want to leave. And I don't think that's a good way to feel about home. I trudge through the prickly weeds toward the trees in Miss Amanda's trailer. That red-haired Tay, and the way she yelled out that awful name as though first grade and the big mean kid with the mud and the sock were yesterday, has got my head in a whirlwind and my feet moving angry fast. I reach the dense trees in the deeper part of the woods in record time. I take the diagonal path from the fallen log, and soon I see the first of Miss Amanda's upturned chairs. I shove my hand into my pocket and feel the letter, rubbing it between my finger and thumb like it might have some power to bring her back. But as I approach, the rest of the familiar wreckage comes into view. It seems I won't be seeing Amanda Holtz today. I kick the dirt, sending a cloud of dust and grass bugs into the air. How can I help Miss Amanda remember anything about the treasure or Anaya's family if I can't find her? Stepping over the torn fabric awning, I move slowly toward the trailer. Now that I know Miss Lee found Miss Amanda after she died, it doesn't make sense that no one cleaned up this wreckage. I'm glad they didn't, or I might never have met Miss Amanda, but did people forget about it? Did they forget about her? I wonder whether Miss Amanda's belongings are untouched inside the trailer. Now, the idea of walking into the abandoned home of a dead person gives me a cold and squirmy feeling, but I still want to solve the lost treasure mystery. What if Miss Amanda is wandering as a ghost and has lost her memory of this trailer? What if she can't remember how to get home? If I can find the right clues, find Eden from the letter and return the treasure to her, Miss Amanda might be free from this wandering, memory-losing state. She might be able to go where spirits are supposed to go. I climb the 2 steps to the trailer door and slowly wrap my fingers around the metal doorknob. And I turn the knob, checking. It's unlocked. Is it really invading someone's privacy if you look through their things after they've died? A thump comes from inside the trailer, like the sound of a drawer or a cupboard closing, and it startles me and I nearly fall off the steps. In a tiny voice that sounds unfamiliar, I quaver out a soft, hello? Something creaks inside the trailer. Now, I should run, but my feet don't obey me. This part of the zoo property isn't fenced off. They've posted private property and no trespassing signs around, but that's not going to keep people out. What if someone is inside stealing stuff, and I've just stumbled upon this with no way to defend myself? Mr. Bixley installed all those security cameras and alarms in the zoo, but that's not going to help me out here. If I yell, no one's going to hear me all the way on the other side of bear country. My feet finally move off the steps just as the door swings open to the inside of the trailer. It's darker in there than out here, and my eyes aren't adjusted to the change of light, and I can't make anything out, not even an outline or a shadow. "Lexington Willow!" calls a cheery southern voice, and Miss Amanda moves into the daylight of the door frame as real-looking as any person. The sun reflects off her key necklace. Hi, Miss Amanda." My voice comes out with a breath of air as if I've been holding it in for a week. You're here." "Well, of course I am. Where else would I be?" "I've been coming to see you, and you haven't been here," I said, holding on to the railing to keep my balance. "Where have you now?" Miss Amanda is wearing a yellow and gray skirt with a soft-looking sweater. Fisher must be right about ghosts not being affected by the weather. Miss Amanda probably wouldn't choose to wear the sweater in June if she were alive. Now tell me, she says, did you have any luck with the loose board in the gift shop? Did you find the treasure? I'm trying hard to focus on the ghost in front of me in case she suddenly disappears or something. Since everything looked undamaged and right side up when I last saw her, I assumed that the old and broken state of everything today meant that I wouldn't be seeing the ghost. Well, I found a loose board, I say. My friend Fisher helped me, and we pulled up the board, but we didn't find any treasure. Nothing beneath the board, huh? She asks. It seems weird that she should say behind the board instead of under it. I shake my head no. No treasure, but I found a few other things I want to show you. I was hoping they might help you remember something. Wonderful, she exclaims. Come in and set a spell. We'll have some tea, and you show me what you found, and I'll do my best to remember some more. Miss Amanda turns from the door and walks on into the trailer. I move to the top step, and I peek in at the dark interior. Miss Amanda goes to the window on the opposite side, which has a small halo of daylight framing some curtains. She pulls the curtains aside, filling the trailer with filtered sunlight from the woods behind it. The window sits above a table in a very small kitchen to the right. A tea kettle rests on a turquoise stove that matches a miniature turquoise fridge. At the other end of the trailer is a wide bed topped with a thick comforter. A single shelf of books and trinkets runs around all 3 rooms of the bedroom space. I feel for the letter and the wrinkled train ticket in my pocket, and then, as I take one step into the trailer, the wind rustles the leaves and sends a breeze swirling around my ankles. She'll never remember what you need, the wind says. I wonder whether a ghost might be able to hear the wind speak, too. But Miss Amanda sets teacups and saucers on the kitchen table and begins to pour tea from her fat teapot as though she's heard nothing. The teacups remind me of our last visit and that I lost track of time before. I'm going to need to get a watch. Miss Amanda, do you have a clock? Yes, darling, and it still works. She points at the wall in the kitchen. Sure enough, the clock hands show 10:50, which seems right, and the second hand is moving at an accurate speed around the face. Just a minute, please, I say to her, unhooking my radio off my waistband. I press down on the call button and speak clearly. Willow to Hostler. The radio crackles to life. Hostler here. Go ahead, Willow. Just checking the time. Do you have 10:50? Yes, he answers. But you can have until 12:30 instead of noon if that helps. It does help, but I realize he still thinks I'm over at the ball field with Fisher. I don't want to have to explain all that over the radio, though. Got it. Willow out. I step all the way into Miss Amanda's ham-shaped vintage trailer and take in the deep breath of lemons and mint. The extra half hour is a good buffer, but I'm going to pretend that I don't have that extra time, just in case. I'm going to give myself 1 hour with Miss Amanda. 1 hour, and then I have to leave to meet Roger. After lunch, I'll find Fisher and explain why I left the ball field. I tell myself this because I don't want to forget what I'm doing or go missing for hours like what happened to Mrs. Lee when she was with her ghost friend. Miss Amanda sets her teapot on the table. Now then, she says, sitting and smoothing her skirt. What was it that you wanted to show me? I reach into my pocket for the letter and the train ticket, and I wonder if the best chance of getting results with Miss Amanda's faded memories is to focus on one thing at a time. Maybe too many things at once is distracting. So I pull out the letter first. Miss Amanda points at it and then clasps her hands together as though she's keeping herself from touching the paper. Where did you find this? Now, I haven't unfolded the letter yet, so she can't exactly see what it is, but she looks like she might know. She motions at the empty kitchen chair like she wants me to sit down, and so I do. Well, it was in the gift shop desk in the storeroom. Isabel, the lady who runs the shop now, she said she found it after you'd gone, and it doesn't have your name on it, but she assumed that you wrote it. I opened the letter and hold it face up for her to see the writing. Did you? A bit of sunlight flickers through the window, and Miss Amanda's face lights up with it. I'm still surprised that ghosts aren't see-through, but she has a softness about her that makes her different, like an old picture that's slightly blurry. She reaches out for the paper. May I have a look? I let her take it and watch how the paper seems to move a smidgen before she touches it, drawn to her like a magnet. Her blue eyes scan the words, and then she startles like someone snuck up and surprised her. Of course, I have a picture of Eden and of Angus Fan. She lays the letter flat on the table and stabs her pointer finger at Eden's name. The fortune is hers. We have to find that box and return it to Eden. Can you show me the picture, Miss Amanda? Maybe a picture will help you remember.